Fire Emblem Engage, a celebration of the Fire Emblem series as it achieves 30 plus years of sustained existence. But will this be a Fire Emblem game people will look back on fondly, or will people look back on this game negatively as people have in the series past? I may not have all the answers, but I'm open to talking about the game and having discussions with people about it. Join us now as we talk about Fire Emblem Engage on the newest episode of Pause and Effect. Hope you enjoy. Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Pause and Effect. I'm your host, CJ, and joining me this episode is my friend, Chris. Welcome back to the show, my friend. How you doing?
I forgot the joke that I made last time, so I don't know where to go from here.
I think it was because we did try recording this before through Discord, and that fucked itself up something fierce. So I think you were like, engage emblems or something like that.
It was like engage the emble.
Oh, engage the emble.
Engage the emble for I am the fireman.
Well, as you guys can tell just from listening to that little preamble, this episode's subject is Fire Emblem Engage, developed by Intelligent Systems for the Switch and released back on January 20th of 2023. So there is definitely some recency bias with this game. Hard to believe that like this game's only been out like barely even 2 months.
Right? If I wasn't on Twitter every day, I would have all but forgotten about that game.
Yeah, and then even on Twitter, people post like artwork of Three Houses characters anyway.
Yeah, because
Well,
we'll get to that.
Yeah, stepping back for a little bit, like just to over encompass the series as a whole, between all of the Fire Emblem games, which ones have you played?
Every single one but the one that had Murph in it.
That had Murph?
Yeah, good old Murphy.
Like Murph from Dimension 20? What the hell?
Yeah, it was played Fire Emblem for the Game Boy Advance. Both of them. You got Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn, which I didn't technically play. I watched my brother play because I was so bored of Fire Emblem at the time, and also like I don't like Radiant Dawn. Fun fact. Played Super Smash Bros. Melee.
You count Smash Brothers?
Well, if you're an American Fire Emblem fan, where else did you find out about Fire Emblem?
That is true. Melee did predate the release of Blazing Blade in the West.
No, Melee's the reason that it came to the West.
That is true. Granted, like it still feels like an injustice that we didn't get Roy's game, because half the reason Sakurai added Roy into Melee was because like shit, what was it?
Advertising. The same reason
advertising.
He added Corrin, Byleth, Alir. Give it time.
Yeah. Because otherwise, like the representative for Smash outside of Marth would have been Leaf if Roy hadn't gotten in.
Wait, Leaf? Oh, that would have been dope, actually.
Yeah, it was gonna be Leaf, but Sakurai replaced him with Roy for advertising purposes.
It worked out for the better because I love Roy. He's our boy.
Roy is our boy, 100%. I am in the same boat as you, I will admit. I played all of the Fire Emblem games that have released in the West, but I haven't yet played any of the ones that were Japan exclusive. Granted, like you said, you hadn't played Shadow Dragon when we tried recording this the first time.
Yeah, that's the only one I haven't played because that was during like a weird time.
Like, don't. Take my advice, don't.
I will eventually. It is required. If you're a fan of a franchise, you play every single game.
Just, you're making a mistake.
I mean, it's got Marth in it. It's got... I'm scrolling through like the list of every single character. It's got Marth. That's the only reason I don't want to play it. There doesn't sound like anybody interesting in that game at all.
Just because of Marth?
Well, he's like the only character that I'd want to play for.
Honestly, I feel like that is the only reason why anybody would want to, regardless. Because like,
I
oh
mean, for
hey, it's
me,
Marth's original game, and then it turns out like the game tried to be too much like its original without really improving on anything. Hell, it made it worse.
I mean, adding Chris was cool because like a customizable avatar character is always fun, but
Yeah,
then
that was in the
they
game
put too
that
much
didn't
in.
release. That was in the game that didn't release here.
I thought it did.
No, Fire Emblem 12, New Mystery of the Emblem, Heroes of Light and Shadow, that did not release here. And the only reason it didn't was because Shadow Dragon sold so horribly.
I thought you could make a.
Not in Shadow
I could have sworn you could have.
Not in Shadow Dragon. You had to play like Fire Emblem 12,
Huh.
which was the remake of 3. So realistically speaking, like you'd have to in order to play that one, you'd have to emulate it and download the English patch.
Maybe someday.
Maybe someday. Now, out of all of the ones that you've played, like which one was your favorite?
For the longest time, it was 7.
Really?
And then it was Fates. And then it was 3 Houses. Now it's who am I drawing? That's really all it is. Like what day of the week is it? That's my favorite one.
That is definitely a take. One I never would have expected, but
they're all good.
That is true. They are all good.
It's like Pokemon. Sometimes you feel like you just want to go back and play just to go through Kanto, or you feel like you want to go through Hoenn. You skip over Unova because who cares about Unova?
I care.
No, you're wrong.
Like Black, White, Black 2, and White 2 were some of my favorites. What the hell are you? Well, okay, fine. Subjectivity being subjectivity, we'll just go with that.
We'll save that. We'll save that for the I Hate Pokemon Black and White podcast.
Oh God, that will certainly be something.
I'll piss off all 30 people on Twitter about it.
Yeah, no, I'm in a different boat from you. Like, I think you said at one point you didn't like Radiant Dawn. I actually kind of did, only because like the moment you get Ike back in the game, you just breeze through everything for like
Soren, always lost in your books.
Yeah. Granted, like it's very much on the lower end. I think some of my favorites would be like Sacred Stones, Awakening to a minor extent, Shadows of Valentia, and Engage is definitely up there.
Oh yeah. My entire tier list for Fire Emblem games is based off who are my favorite characters in that game. Do I have a favorite character? Radiant Dawn? I don't have a single one. Actually, incorrect. Joffrey, only character. How often is he playable? 3 chapters? All right, top tier game right there.
Yeah.
You know what my favorite part about these podcasts are?
What?
We're talking about Fire Emblem Engage, yet half of our conversation has been about every other Fire Emblem game.
Oh, hang in there. It gets worse.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, it makes sense because Fire Emblem Engage is a celebration of Fire Emblem. Could have fooled me in a way.
That is true. And I did look this up before we recorded this, I think like a couple days ago. Fire Emblem celebrates its anniversary on April 20th, and its 30-year anniversary was back in 2020. So
it's like, baffling.
It is very baffling, but all of the 420 memes that I keep seeing for Fire Emblem from time to time, I'm like, oh my God, they actually make sense.
It's also Lucina's birthday.
Wait, is it?
Yeah, Lucina was born on 420.
Oh my God, what? Like, and she doesn't get memed with all of the 420 stuff?
No, she does.
Okay,
every time around her birthday, people post her token it. It's always hilarious.
I'll have to keep an eye out then. No, I see stuff like I think my favorite one was Ike with one of his quotes from when you fight him in Awakening. It's like, but if my style gets in your way, don't be afraid to say so.
Yeah,
And
it's got him with the
he's
swag
just like
hat.
got a snapback on, sunglasses, and necklace with like a or like a chain with like a weed thing on it. He looks like he's smoking, and you just see
Yeah.
Snoop Dogg doing that dance from the Drop It Like It's Hot video.
It just reminds me of that one remix video with a booty, 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 booty rocking everywhere.
I've not seen this one.
Oh my god, I gotta send you that later.
Yeah, please do. But no, like so now we're actually getting into the Engage stuff. What drew you to Fire Emblem Engage, and what kept you invested as you played?
Fire Emblem and Fire Emblem.
Honestly, pretty much that's all there is to it.
Who are you and how did you get in here? Well, I'm a locksmith. Man, I'm a locksmith.
I don't know, man. Like between the last game that released on the Switch, which was Three Houses, and this game,
Three Hopes, technically.
oh fuck, you're right. Okay, the last canon game that released on the Switch.
Three Hopes, technically.
Well, okay, yeah,
There
fine.
is no canon in Three Houses. Woohoo!
So then wouldn't the last canon game in that case be like Shadows of Valencia?
Probably. Well, I mean, there's no canon ending in the whole Three Houses world.
And there's no real canon ending of the Three Hopes world either.
Yeah, we don't talk about the canon endings of those either.
That's fair. We don't.
The power of friendship compels you. Ah!
What is this,
Wait.
Xenoblade?
Wait, that's just the plot to every single Fire Emblem game after Awakening. The power of friendship compels you. Ay, Dios mío!
That's just the plot to almost every JRPG in existence.
Yeah, you're right.
Like it's definitely the plot of like at least two of the Xenoblade games.
Persona.
And Persona, and like definitely not Shin Megami Tensei. You're motivated by like your desire to kill God.
Or your desire to become God. They're not mutually exclusive.
That is true. But no, the thing that I was going to say is the characterization of all the characters, I definitely liked a lot more in Engage compared to Three Houses and Three Hopes.
I am still on the fence for that.
The only reason I say that is because Three Houses banked heavily on a lot of characters having having really good personalities, and that's predominantly because like when you first meet your units, everyone dresses the same. Like hair color, like notwithstanding, but at the same time, like you join houses considering like or whatever house you go for in the very beginning, because like, oh, like do I like what do these characters look like? Okay, you're like you look too ridiculous. Like what's with the pink hair? What's with the bright blue hair? Like yada yada yada. And everyone's wearing the same uniform. So I just think to myself, okay, so they all look very similar. Maybe their personalities will shine through. And they did, or in some cases, the lack thereof.
Yeah. Raphael.
Yeah,
Ingrid,
Raphael is the biggest example.
Felix.
Like there's only a very small handful of deeply written characters in that game, and it's not any of the lords.
Well, Edelgard.
Not really.
She had a lot more nuance than people think.
I mean, I will give you that. She is definitely a character that has nuance.
Edelgard did nothing wrong.
I'm not going there. But I will say, like, there wasn't a bad character design in Engage. Okay, as I say that, I know I'm lying to myself because there's two that I can think of off the top of my head. Like Anna and Jean. Like, God, no.
Ironically, like, the two paralog recruits.
Yeah, so like you don't even need to grab them, but me being obsessed with completionism.
Well, that and playing the game blind, you're like, ooh, who's it gonna be? Who's it gonna be? And you're like, Kid Anna, like, oh,
Yeah.
eh. And then John, it's like, what? Huh?
Yeah, and Jean is the aptitude unit of the game. Like, no, kid, get out of here.
No,
Like,
give it.
you are 10. Don't set foot on a fucking battlefield.
Looks over at Kana.
Yeah, like Kana is like 8 or 7 or 6. Like, I don't fucking know. But the fact that Kana can transform into a dragon, just like, okay, you have a permanent spot in the Fates army. And then
He's also my baby boy.
even going as far as like, oh, you can get your 6-year-old child involved in like romances with the other kids who are at least in their 20s at this point.
I don't think any of them are romances, are they?
I think they are.
Weird. I only ever romanced him with Soleil, who was my daughter. So it was like, I want to be like you when I grow up. And she's like, cool.
Well, that's not a romance, mostly because I think the sibling romances function a little differently.
There is no, I mean, like
Did I say sibling romance? Fuck me.
I mean, you're right. It is Fire Emblem. Don't forget.
Sibling supports. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
That
If they're siblings, the support chain is always the same, I believe.
Yeah. That is true. And the parent and child are like the support chains are always the same.
For Kana, at least. With Corrin, it changes.
I mean, I remember it was the same thing with Morgan back in Awakening, where like no matter who Morgan's like non-Robin parent was, like their dialogue was the same. The only two romance options that give you like different things that you say or how they interact were like Walhart and Aversa.
Weird.
Whereas everyone's just like, oh hey Kana, no, not Kana, Morgan, like, oh hey Morgan, what have you got there? And then you see Walhart as the parent is like, what foolish nonsense are you driveling now?
Oh, hey, Dad. Oh, just being a kid. Foolishness. Kana. Foolishness. Okay, now you got me saying that too.
Devil May Cry memes notwithstanding.
Granted, Morgan is the most broken unit, and Kana is like, okay.
Yeah. But regardless of that, like, I thought all of the character designs were like pretty good in Fire Emblem Engage. Granted, there were some very ridiculous ones, and those I think were just like bordered between like they were decent or they were serviceable at best, but I wouldn't have called them bad.
Ivy with her spike gloves and waffle face.
Yeah, that is definitely serviceable. Granted, I think Hortensia is worse.
I'm one of the select few that doesn't hate her.
Like, I don't hate her for her design, because like I'm not one of those people that's like too afraid of clowns. But like,
I didn't even make the connection that she was a clown.
But like the moment she opened her mouth when I first encountered her in chapter 7, I'm like, okay, no, you shut the fuck up right now.
Yeah, my first thought was, oh, you're playable. You're going on the bench.
Yep.
But then I met her retainers, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, so that delves into the next question. Who would you say was your favorite character in Engage? That you didn't marry.
What is that? Why does that change things?
I don't know. Like the answer is different for me, but
see, when I first started the game, I was one of the few people that didn't look at any sort of leak. I mean, there was the initial leak that came out last year where it showed Vander and all that. And
where everyone was just referring to Alira as toothpaste, John.
Yeah. There was Fram. I liked Fram because I love Punchomancers in Fire Emblem, especially if they're like girls, because I think that's the funniest shit. Like you can have the big, gruff muscle man like Raphael who punches like, oh, that's whatever. But you make Marianne the Punchomancer, all of a sudden it's the funniest thing you've ever seen.
It really is.
That's why as soon as I saw Fram and she was a healer that punches, I'm like, oh, you are a mainstay on the army. And she was. If you invest into her, like, and invest, I mean, like, just level her up and get her to a martial master, she's disgusting.
I hate to say that I dropped Fram, but I did.
You missed out. She is really good.
Maybe if I start it up a second time, I can like try that out.
But as for favorite characters, 3 immediately come to mind. Etie, Kagetsu, and Rosado.
Yeah, Kagetsu and Rosado are legit. Granted, I never used Rosado or Etie, but Kagetsu is legit.
I mean, I wasn't sold on Kagetsu until I saw his portrait. And you saw that side boob, and you're just like, that's an awakening. I have awakened. I was like, I feel things I shouldn't be feeling. What is this?
Yeah, that'll certainly do it, I think.
Eddie was like, I'm muscly and muscular. I have abs. And I'm like, oh my God, a JRPG female that has abs and they're visible.
Yeah, like Etie is the only like female character with abs in the game that starts with visible abs.
Yep.
Because I think
I reclassed her into a warrior. Best decision I ever made.
Yep. I think the only other character or like female character in Engage that shows off abs if you reclass her a specific way is Marin.
Marin, I think Citrine, if you make her into a sage, has it too.
Wait, really?
She might have something. I don't know. Or Jade, I think, as well.
Jade doesn't.
JRPGs are silly.
Aren't they?
I shouldn't say JRPGs. There's a whole thing going for that. RPGs.
That is true. Like if all of the recent dramas surrounding like Naoki Yoshida and Adam Sessler isn't anything to go off of.
Yeah, we're dating this video pretty hard, aren't we?
We really are. No, if I had to pick favorite characters for Engage, it would be like Chloe was my number one because I invested in her as a Griffin Knight, and goddamn.
Wrong.
What do you mean wrong?
Wrong. Next question.
Okay, continuing on. Chloe, Jade, Diamant, Fogado, and
he was
Kagetsu.
The dancer, right? Fogado?
What?
Fogado was the dancer, right?
No, that's Seagull.
Man, I beat that game like 2 weeks after it came out, and I just forgotten almost everything.
Yeah, I finished it a couple weeks ago, but I do understand that. Just like you're off the high after you finish the game, and you're like, wait, what was that entire plot?
What was I doing? Why do I have split hair? Which is funny. Because the split hair, after you find out the twist, it's like, huh, that makes sense.
Like, that actually works.
Like, okay, there was actually a legitimate story reason that wasn't contrived or stupid. It makes sense. Granted, on model, it looks kind of silly, but all the artwork for it is amazing.
Yeah, like, granted, I will admit, I was one of the people that the moment I saw that, the double hair color, I'm like, oh, this is odd, but I kind of like it. That was my first impression. Granted, I was dying laughing at all of the Colgate toothpaste jokes.
Yeah. As soon as I saw her, I'm like, yep, this is going to be the first avatar that I hard skip.
What
Not
do you mean?
entirely incorrect, because I didn't really use her at all.
Yeah, that 35% strength growth really dampens a lot of things.
Oh, she had that? Mine was pretty decent, all things considered.
I don't know. Like I finished the game because I used Milliliter. I barely got strength.
I did feed her all the items because that's usually what I do is I give them to the main character. Because if your main character can't kill the final boss, then are you truly playing an RPG, JRPG, whatever you want to call it?
That is true, and granted, that is exactly what I did. Like I had everyone whittle down the final boss's health, and then Alir just comes in for the kill, and I'm like, hey, yes, I did that.
I think I did a laser beam on him too. I made sure to laser beam him.
Wait, laser beam?
Did you never do that?
Uh,
You never
explain.
engage people with a leer?
Oh, I did that. Yes.
Okay. But you never used the ability?
Oh, I did use the ability. I didn't
Okay.
finish it like that though.
What?
No, I just had a leer attack while engaged using
Oh, you've never
using like
seen the
one of those
animation
weapons.
for it?
I've seen the animation.
Okay, thank God, because that is the best animation in anything ever. Because it's just a laser beam. It's I don't consider it magic because there's no tomes. You're using your own power, which like I don't think any character in the game uses their own innate power. Anyway, it's just a laser beam.
Yeah, like no rhyme or reason for it. It's just a laser.
You literally Kamehameha wave. It's so good.
That that is true.
Oh. Honestly, that part was pretty hyped though.
That definitely would have been more hype for me if I ended the fight that way. Granted, the fact, and now I'm kicking myself because I didn't do that.
I made sure to make it thematic.
Yeah, other than like characters and like a couple other things that we've already discussed, what would you say were your favorite and least favorite aspects of Engage?
The entire story and the entire story.
Honestly, yeah, because
The
the
story
story in
was.
parts is like kind of fun, but in other parts, it's just like, why are we doing this?
It's just like, come on, use your head. Like the part when I forget what happens, but all the rings drop on the floor. What is stopping them from walking over and picking them up? What is stopping anybody from doing anything in a cutscene? Like I know it's a Fire Emblem cutscene and you're not allowed to move because that's how it works. But come on.
I'm just having flashbacks to that moment in Mass Effect 2 where like you're on the Citadel, you're approached by a reporter, and like you really don't like her, or Shepard really doesn't like her. So you can either just like go along with her line of questioning, or you can straight up just go renegade and punch her in the face.
Which you always do because it's always worth it.
You always do because like look, misogyny is wrong, but that reporter is a piece of shit.
Misogyny
Let's
has nothing to do with it. She hounds your ass the entire game. That is her just getting her just desserts.
fair enough.
But while I say the story is like hammy and silly and over the top, there were some times where I was genuinely like, "Oh, this is cool." Like, this is gonna make me sound like a massive idiot, but when Alir became the 13th emblem, I was like, "Oh, that's cool." It never once crossed my mind that she could be the 13th emblem, despite the fact that the protagonist of every other game was an emblem.
That is true.
But then once it happened, I'm like, oh, that makes total sense. Still, this is really cool.
I just love seeing people like balk at certain story moments where it's like people loved Alir becoming the 13th emblem, like, oh, that's so sick. And people had like very mixed reactions. Like once you finish chapter 10 and you lose all of the rings you've like so painstakingly collected.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, come on. Like, come on. I just ranked everybody up. I was about to ready to shift everybody over. Now I got Lucina and Lynn, which are arguably the two strongest rings in the entire game, bar none.
Yeah.
So it's not like they leave you out to dry. They leave you with the two best ones.
Yeah, granted, like that whole moment was trivialized for me because I had like at the moment I had that, I got like two of the DLC emblems.
Oh, I played the entire game without DLC on
Yeah, because
hard
you
mode
haven't bought the season pass yet. I remember you
eventually.
telling me that
Mm.
before, but I do think it's funny, like, because you have to run through a long ass paralog in order to get Tiki, but then the triple Edelgard Dimitri Claude emblem, they just give you that shit.
I want them to be in the cutscene when Sombron takes all the emblems and those four just like okay, and so someone's just staring at them like, I'm watching you.
Yeah, but like all of the reactions that I keep seeing from people like reacting to chapter 10, like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like game. And I just think to myself, oh, you guys would not like Fire Emblem Genealogy of the Holy War
Ugh.
at all.
Chapter 10 was also a how to put it, a lesson in humility for more hardcore Fire Emblem fans. Because you know those escape chapters where it's like, yeah, you have to escape because they're so powerful in the story, but like you can just toss one of your characters and they kill everybody. It's like, this is a route map now. This is not an escape map. No, in this chapter, it's an escape map. Especially on like the harder difficulties with all their health bars.
Yeah.
But that does bring up the question or the topic of giving bosses an extra couple health bars. I can't tell if that was a good idea or not.
Like in the beginning, I thought it was, but then later on in the game, I'm just like, just get on with it.
Yeah, like in the older Fire Emblem games, the bosses were hard, but still beatable. In this one, it's like the bosses are easy, but because you can't kill them in one shot, there's a chance they could snipe one of your units.
Yeah,
And I'm like, oh, I don't like
that
that.
happened to me a couple times, like especially early on.
Uh, uh,
And in chapter 21 too, that happened a couple times in the same map.
which one was chapter 21?
Uh it's you're fighting a Veil for the final time.
I barely remember that one.
Like you fight Veil, you like corrupted Veil, you break her helmet and you get the Marth ring back before like Alir dies.
That whole part.
Yeah.
I also love that Vale was playable. As soon as she showed up, I'm like, oh, she's playable, and I'm going to use her on my team because she seems like a fun character. Was halfway right.
Yeah.
She
Like
ended up being way too story central to be a fun character.
yeah.
I mean, even looking at the freaking box art for the special edition, she is front and center.
She really is. Like you look at that and you even see like a very front and center version of like Lumera in the background. Or like you I can see it because I hung up the poster that came with it. But I look at that and I'm like, yeah, there's no way you're not playable.
Oh, that was also a twist that I didn't see coming either with Lumera. Like, you know
Oh,
how in every single Fire Emblem game the parent dies?
yeah.
I wasn't expecting her to die chapter 3.
Yeah, she dies too early.
But it kind of works in the favor because then when she becomes a boss later, you're like, oh, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, okay, that was cool. I'll give you that one.
Especially when she's like, "Oh, my poor child," and you're just like, "Oh, she's herself, but not."
Like she acts like herself, but she like definitely isn't herself.
Yeah. Did you have Vale attack her?
Uh I think I might have
Oh,
once.
her dialogue was hilarious.
I know I
Like,
had a
"Are you
leer.
gonna kill me again? I'm gonna rip your heart out." And Vale's like, "I feel bad. I gotta do this again. I don't want to."
Oh, I did see that. Yeah.
I'm starting to think. I wonder if Alir was meant to be like the Robin to the Crom, and Vale was supposed to be the main character.
God, how interesting would that be?
I'm thinking the DLC has something to do with her.
You think so?
I wonder if it's not a different dimension thing. It's going to be time travel.
Granted, like from the very short snippet that we got, we do see like two playable characters whose names we don't know, and one of them does transform into a dragon.
So they could be Lumera's kids or Sombron's kids.
One of the two. Like you brought this up multiple times with me outside of just this podcast. Like you have said before that it's very odd that both Alir and Vale are dragons and yet they can't transform.
Like even Corrin does it. Granted, transferring into a dragon is just objectively worse than using the Yato.
That is true. Granted, there is a way to transform anyone into a dragon, but you have to use Tiki's emblem to do it.
DLC doesn't count.
DLC doesn't count? Okay then.
Well, besides the story where it might actually reveal why they can't. I mean, they don't have their dragon stones, but it's like Sombron doesn't have a dragon stone, but he transforms. Lumera doesn't have a dragon stone, she transforms. Oh, that's because they were under their clothes. Like, I didn't see it. Doesn't count.
That is true. There is no visible dragonstone
I mean, there
for
might
like
be,
either of
and we
them.
just didn't see it on their model
The only
list.
dragonstone we see across the entire story is Alir's because Vale's been holding on to it, and the moment Alir dies, that shit breaks.
Which is dumb because she comes back to life, so that thing should come back to life if they're tied to their life forces.
Yeah,
I still love Vale as a character.
I love her supports, like the C support with Alfred, where like she's crying because she's eating something really spicy, even just even
What?
despite the fact that she's
What?
just like, yeah, Alfred tries one bite and he just runs off screaming.
Oh, what was? I love all of her supports with like Diamant and Ivy, where she's like, "I'm sorry I killed your dad. Can I help?" And Diamant's like, "Let's go outside and go like talk to people." I will say the supports for Engage are way better than Three Houses.
100%. That's half of what I was basing it on. Like the biggest thing about Three Houses supports to me that were so weird is like you have B supports for a lot of different characters that leave off on the weirdest fucking cliffhangers you'll ever see. And then you can't see its continuation until 5 years later.
Yeah, I feel like that time skip really messed with the support chains. I think they work best in Engage. Granted, most of the support chains in Three Houses were garbage. Basically, all of Byleth's were crap except for Dorothea's because that one was just funny.
Yeah, like the only characters with good supports were Dorothea 100%. Uh Sylvain, if he ever got to do an A support conversation with someone, because he only does it with like three characters.
I know Dor.
What?
I think Ingrid too. Basically, everyone. I think he gets A supports with everyone in his house.
Not Annette.
That's weird.
Not Annette, not the dude, not Ash, but Felix, Ingrid, and Mercedes, yes.
Weird.
And Byleth, but that one's a given.
Oh, there's a question. What's your favorite support in Engage?
That is a very tough question.
I have to think.
Like that's such a tough question because I'm not sure I have favorite supports, but I just have like favorite moments from certain supports. Like
Goldberry and Eddie AC support is definitely one of them.
sorry, I talked over you. Who in Eddie?
Goldberry.
Goldberry and Eddie.
That C support is the funniest support I think in the entire series.
I have not seen that one yet, so I definitely have to
Eddie finds a potato and really wants it, but Goldberry swipes it up before she can get it. And she's like, "What the hell, man? That was my potato." And Goldberry's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. What was that? Oh my god, they're so good." And Eddie's just like, "I'm gonna punch you." Goldberry's like, "Bring it, bitch."
like there's similar shit across like a couple different things with like Alfred and Vale, and Alfred just like runs off screaming after eating the spicy food.
Oh,
Like
that's like a singular moment. The entire C chain for Goldberry and Eddie is hilarious because it's just them fighting over a baked potato.
yeah, Ivy and Vale's B support where Ivy tries to punish Vale by like giving her the spiciest food
Yeah,
she can
spicy.
possibly make,
She's
and
like,
Vale
like,
loves it.
she's like, "Wow, this is pretty good." And she's like, "Shit."
Like Marin and Rosato's entire support chain where like they're trying to see like whether cute or cool is more in style.
Oh my god. Ivy supports are great. Divine Dragon, I have a confession to make. Hey, what's up? I love you. I'm sorry.
Like what?
I'm sorry. Excuse me. I have been in love with you this whole time. Like, really? It's like, haha, JK, I meant that figuratively, not literally.
Like I've been in love with the idea of you as a religious figure. Like, okay.
Oh, like, oh, yeah, everyone worshiped the devil. So I was like, I'm going to worship Jesus just to be contrarian.
Yeah, that is a hilarious way to go about it.
And the layer's like, checks out.
Like some of Chloe's supports are hilarious. Like her support with Amber is like Amber finds a treasure map and like tries to go find the Fountain of Youth, fails to do so, but like Chloe's accompanying him and being like, "Hey, you did your best. Now how about I treat you to some food?" Like, shit, sure. And it turns out to be like fish eyes, and she's just like, shit, okay.
Oops.
Like her support with Seedall, where Seedall's like trying to focus on like not eating meat that's directly in front of him, roasting over a campfire.
Oh my god, Sea Dolls are so funny. Oh, what was it? Was it Rosat? Who was it with? There was a really funny one where he was just getting really annoyed with somebody. Was it Vale? I don't remember.
I remember he was getting really annoyed with Tamara.
Yeah, I think it was Tamara with the food.
Yeah, because Tamara's like
I'm gonna get fat. I can't dance if I'm fat.
And she's just like, dude, shut the fuck up. You were like 5 miles off that way. And you decided to come and bother me the moment I start grilling. Shut the fuck up.
No, Tamara does that Attack on Titan thing and shoves the meat down his throat like Mikasa shoved the potato down Aaron's throat.
Does she actually?
She's like survive. No, she doesn't do that. It'd be funny though.
Because I don't think I ever got that ace support.
Oh, Tamara and Ivy's was funny because they go camping and she's like, I'm afraid of ghosts.
And like they just try to sing it away. I do find it funny that like Tamara's entire shtick is singing really badly. Granted, her personal skill Racket of Solm is a dead giveaway.
These characters are fun. Oh, and of course, the entire character known as Lapis.
Oh, Lapis is hysterical. Oh, wait, I have my answer for best support chain.
Fram?
No, Pendreo and Penet.
I didn't do that one.
Like their whole brother sister dynamic where he's not like hamming it up with parties as he normally does, and he's just like, hey, like we're brother and sister, surely you can drop the entire like formal language act in my presence. She's like, whatever are you talking about? This is how I nope, drop it now. And she
Stop it.
does, and she just becomes an entirely different character.
Ooh, I have to listen to that one.
It's so good.
Uh,
And
Lapis.
it delves deep into like their entire family backstory. And I'm like, yes, this is what I pay to see.
This is the good shit. looks over to the side, seeing Fram and Lapis fighting a bear. Like, not right now. I still love that stuff. I love Lapis's character because she's like, I'm poor. This sucks. I grow potatoes.
Yeah, like she is like dirt poor.
And then everyone's like, man, I'm running into this problem back at Psalm. And she's like, oh, yeah, what's up? It's like, oh, there's these bears that keep attacking. And I was like, oh, just wrestle them. They'll go away. And everyone's like,
What the fuck?
pardon? Yeah, just wrestle them. They'll go away. And I was like, okay, I'll try wrestling a bear. How do you know about that? She's like, oh, saw it on TV.
I remember seeing Lapis's supports with Boucheron, and their entire thing was she's trying to like do tricks to make foods last longer.
Oh, yeah. And he's like, why are you adding water to milk? Just drink the milk.
It's like, no, we have to make it last, otherwise it'll spoil. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Like we don't need to do that. We're literally in paradise right now. She's like, no, we have to. It's like, all right, chill. I'm gonna go over there and drink my milk.
Yeah.
And you know what? There's a lot of good characters in this game.
Told
I'm
you.
surprised. But do I put it above Three Houses? I don't know.
I think like the silliness of everyone's characterization lends itself well to the characters in the game, just strictly because the game itself doesn't seem to take itself too seriously with its
No, it
plot.
doesn't at all. It's entirely hammy.
Yeah, it's like
Whereas Three Houses was melodramatic and a
so
soap opera.
melodramatic. Like Jesus Christ.
I was waiting for Edelgard's long lost twin cousin sister to show up and be like, "Oh, Twiddle's mustache. It was me who conquered everything." Wait a minute, that's just Byleth.
Honestly, you're right.
I'm your long lost granddaughter clone. Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah, like
I'm in it. Okay.
how do I put this? Engage was a lot like Fates in multiple ways, especially with how they did like home base and combat and everything, just without the pair up, which is fine. But Engage compared to Fates at least has a canon ending. I will give it that.
Yeah.
Because now with like the 3DS eShop going away and getting locked down, the canon ending for Fates is like gone because
Not
it
unless
was
you got the
behind paywall.
special edition. If you pre-ordered it and they put it all in one cart and
I
refused to
did.
do that, they refused to do that for any other time. Like, come on, guys. Like, come on.
Yeah, come on, indeed. But no, like I look at things and I'm like, Fates and Engage, their plots play out very similar, but Engage doesn't take itself too seriously, whereas Fates tries to do the take itself too seriously route and fails miserably.
I think the split routes is what really killed it.
Yeah. And split routes even killed the story of Three Houses too.
In a way.
Okay, maybe not kill because it's like watching like one of those like daytime drama things that you'd see on like I don't even fucking know what channels air like daytime dramas or like telenovelas or soap operas. That's what I was thinking of, soap opera. I don't even know what channels in this country in the United States do soap operas. That's how much I invest in that shit.
I think it's just like the cable channels like ABC, NBC, usually at like noon.
Fair enough. Yeah, that explains why I'm always seeing this shit whenever I'm at the gym. But like it tried to treat itself like a soap opera, which is not meant to be taken seriously, but it tried to play it off as like very serious, very melodramatic, very like political intrigue type of thing. And in parts, it just didn't work.
I think it's because it was a serious world with a serious plot, but the characters were too quirky.
Yeah.
Whereas Engage it's a quirky world with a quirky plot, and everyone's quirky.
Yeah, like that balance lended itself very well to everything.
There's just, I don't know. The
So like,
gameplay is
oh,
fantastic. The story is average. I don't think the music was that good. I'm gonna be quite honest.
I like I feel like I've said to you before that I like Engage's music better than Three Houses, but
Which
that's
I
not true.
hard disagree.
Like that's not true. I will say like there's songs in each game that that I really like. Like the Shackled Wolves in Three Houses is still one of my favorite songs in the entire series. Like that song is just great.
See, you can remember those names, but I can't remember any of the names for the Engage OST. Mostly because I haven't really gone and looked it up.
Yeah, that's the same for me, but on that note, I will say like give it time. But I feel like there's more songs that I like from Engage than songs that I like from Three Houses, which doesn't really mean a whole lot. It just means that like in my opinion, like liking more songs from something gives it the edge. But I mean, I think I liked more songs from like Fates than either of those games.
The songs were too subdued. I mean, like they're memorable, but they're not lastingly memorable. Like you have the Psalm battle theme, which is like unique, so it has that factor for its memorability, but it doesn't have that sticking power. Same with like most of like the really tense battle themes and all that. Like those didn't stick. But in Three Houses, when you started the time skip and Chasing Daybreak started playing,
Oh
you
yeah.
knew you knew shit. Or heck, even before that, before the time skip, when Edelgard attacks and Roar of Dominion starts playing, you're like, oh, we just got legit serious. Like before, we were just like basically playing pretend, but like no, everyone play your hands. We're going all in now. Everyone's all in. It's like, oh, or
Yeah,
heck,
no,
even
that
the like all the music in Three Houses was like damn near perfect. Whereas Engage, it's like they're good standalone, but they don't really like elevate the game. Except the Four Hounds theme.
yeah, I was gonna say that too. Like what I will give Engage is it's probably the first time in a long time in the series that I've liked like the themes that play during boss fights since Sacred Stones.
Wait, you didn't like? Well, okay. I should also say like, was it as fierce as fire or as fierce as thunder?
Oh, like the menu, like a lot of the menu prep themes in a lot of these games, like, oh my God, yes.
No, the boss theme for Three Houses
Oh,
didn't really that one. That's one I didn't like at all. Nothing beats the GBA boss themes,
yeah, absolutely.
especially the Black Fang theme. Oh my
The
god.
Softly with Grace, the Black
Softly
Fang
with
battle
Grace
theme,
is the best boss theme. That's not the final boss in Fire Emblem. Period.
100% agree. Holy shit.
Oh. Granted, the Four Hounds theme comes pretty damn close.
It does. Like the Four Hounds theme very much
Most
has
because
the
of
same
that guy
energy as
going
Softly with Grace.
ah. It's like someone got to. make sure that guy's okay.
Yeah. You just hear like dubstep going off in the background, like, oh shit, this
Wait,
is what.
no. We're not in Shambhala.
No, like the boss theme for like the Four Hounds when you're like in the middle of a battle with them, it's just like heavy dubstep.
I'm looking it up.
It's the one you sent me where like it shows the Four Hounds but as memes.
Yeah, I can hear it. Yeah. So what do you think about the Four Hounds? You have you got Maleficent, you got Marty, you got Green Dio, and you got Elden Ring.
Yeah, no, like as recurring bosses, I actually kind of liked them.
I hated them as recurring bosses, but I like them as recurring characters.
Actually, I will give you that. Yeah.
Because after like the third time they showed up and there's like, next time you won't be so lucky, and they just walk away. It's like, am I fighting Team Rocket?
Oh my god, it just clicked for me now.
Like, they're just the reoccurring boss because they didn't really want to make like named bosses for some reason. Like look, it's Luthix. Who's that guy? I don't know. He's just the leader of the battalion or something. I don't know. It's like, no, you got to fight Mavier 4 times.
Yeah.
Like, I can understand initially fighting them and they leave because like they have more pressing matters. Then it's the second time where you fight them and it's like, okay, you guys are more or less on the same power level, but something interferes with them that they or you have to retreat, but it's still considered a gameplay win. And then the third time is the final fight. But it felt like you ran into them like every 30 seconds to the point where you guys are exchanging numbers and posting memes in general.
Yeah, it's like after the first time you encounter them on the field, which is like chapter 11, I think.
So
Like
I was still waiting for Lear to be like, "Oh, what's up, Gris? Hey guys, what's going on? Fancy meeting you here. I mean, I know we're enemies and all that, but hey, you guys still on for Friday?" But I will say, their personalities were pretty fun. And some of the twists that happened were pretty shocking with them. Like,
I can agree with that.
what's her name? Just straight up stabbing Marnie. And her
Oh
just
yeah.
dying. You're just like, oh. I wasn't expecting. And then Mavier is like, I'm out. Bye. That part was funny.
Yeah,
And
just
I also will admit when Gris and I can't remember her name.
Zephia.
Zephia. When those two are dying and just like lying next to each other, I'm like, this is a tender moment. I'll agree.
Yeah, and I'm like, God damn it, I don't want to be made to feel sad for the villains.
I did feel sympathetic for them. I'm like, aw.
Like,
They actually admitted that they care about each other. It's like, well, I mean, you guys could have stopped at any time.
like hell, even Sombron's motivations, as stupid as they fucking were, I'm just like, why are you making me feel bad for this man?
Oh, I didn't feel bad for him at all. I'm just like, dude, grow up.
That yeah, fair.
His whole motivation is like, oh, I want to see my long lost friend. It's like, you're committing genocide, killing everyone, and rending plagues upon the masses just because some friend of yours blocked you on Twitter.
Or like deleted your phone number and like left you on red. Like, dude.
Like he moved to a different county.
He's like, I just want to see my emblem. I'm like, you a
and they're just like
motherfucker.
And they're both just like, okay.
Like,
why not just continue life? Granted, I you know what? I give him shit for it, but that is also the plot of King Piccolo from Dragon Ball.
Is it?
Or like Kami came to Earth and was really lonely, so he ended up interacting with humans. But then they put him on a pedestal and all that, and then Kami saw like the horrors of humanity and war, so he slowly like began turning evil or not like turning evil, but he saw like all the evil stuff. So he had to split his good and evil selves. And that's what Piccolo was, his pure evil self, because of all like the wars that humanity did. Which is really funny because all it took was getting killed once, getting beaten by Goku in a tournament once, killing Goku, and then hanging out with his son for a year for him to become completely good again.
Yeah, you know what? That'll do it.
A little silly, but
like it's a silly way to turn someone good, but it's like very much a long con thing that actually works.
It worked.
Granted,
but still, Sombron's like whole motivation for being evil was stupid.
Yeah, like they're and he's like, oh, can I be redeemed? Like, no. Like you had thousands of kids and you murdered all but 2. Like there is no redeeming you.
Well, he would have murdered all of them, but one of them kind of disappeared for a while. I mean, he didn't even acknowledge Alear as a person.
Like one disappeared and went to sleep. The other straight up murdered him the first time.
No, that was well, actually, was that?
Yeah, it was Alear that turned traitor and murdered him the first time before, like, with his dying breath or whatever. He just, like, Sombron just shoots a laser beam through Alear's chest.
And that's how they got their whole powers and stuff.
Yeah, and that's why you sleep, and that's why he sleeps for 1,000 years.
That whole ending was kind of cool, though.
Like, and that's the thing I noticed too, like going back to what we said before, like Lumera dying in the 3rd chapter, like that shit is so stupid.
And abrupt.
But you learn the reason why it happened and like why she just straight up died. And you're like, oh, it makes sense now.
It makes sense retroactively.
Like
in the moment, it's kind of silly.
The fact that they never actually like bring it up within the confines of the game, though, is kind of stupid. But guess what? I will. Like just reading between the lines is like, oh, Alear turned traitor, killed Sombron. Sombron shoots the laser beam through Alear's chest with his dying wish. Alear straight up is about to die, but Lumera like saves him with divine dragon power and has continued funneling divine dragon power throughout his or her body for at least 1,000 years. And then when Alear wakes up, they have that whole like Pepsi looking hair.
Yeah. That's and okay. Makes sense.
And therein lies the whole thing.
I like Alear's personality before, where they're just like, I want to do good for Dad, but I don't think he'll notice me. This kind of sucks. Oh, cool. A new My Chemical Romance album just came out. I'm going to go to Spencer's and get it.
Yeah, holy shit. Like, Alear, past Alear, when you encounter them, is just so emotionless.
It actually worked. I'm like, I think that's what Byleth should have been.
Like, I will agree that it worked, but I look at it and I'm like, Jesus, man.
I think like the thing that would have made Byleth amazing is if they did what they did with Shez and just voice all the dialogue options, but make it as deadpan as possible so no one can tell if they're being genuine or sarcastic.
Kind of like how they did Byleth in Three Hopes.
Yeah, essentially. Especially like with the part with Dorothea where you're just like, I'm in love with you, we can get married. And she's like, oh, you're being silly. And he's like, but I mean it. Why does no one take me seriously? I don't get it. Fire Emblem's a stupid franchise. Turn it off.
But we love it regardless.
Oh my God, yes.
So the last question I have is, was this game everything you ever wanted it to be?
Can't really answer that because I don't know what kind of Fire Emblem game I want. The gameplay wise, I think it's the best that the franchise has been.
I can agree with that.
It took all of like the previous games systems and put it all together.
Yeah, like
they finally made follow-up attacks not busted.
Yeah, the whole thing felt like a second chance at trying to do over the gameplay and combat of Fates, and it worked.
Oh, it totally did. Also, I also will say I think it's one of the hardest Fire Emblem games.
You think so?
Well, I'm not gonna count any of like the genealogy because that's a whole different can of worms.
I will give you that though. You did play it on hard mode. I played it on normal.
Yeah, hard mode was surprisingly hard, obviously, but
Those are the territory.
compared to Three Houses, really hard because Three Houses hard mode wasn't hard at all.
Yeah, because
Like
you had
not even close.
because you had the thing of like, oh, you can do infinite grinding.
No, not in hard mode.
Oh, right. Right, you can't. I forgot about that.
It was limited to 3 skirmishes. But even then, it didn't matter because they didn't really like scale it correctly.
Engage is harder too because if you're having money problems in that game, you are going to continue having money problems.
I mean, I always had money problems, but weapons didn't have durability, so it's not like if you ran out of money, you were screwed because you couldn't get items.
True. I mean, in my case, I was trying to I was trying to refine weapons so that people could actually use them.
Yeah.
And boy, did
Whereas in
that
Three
work out in a lot
Houses,
of different cases.
oh my god, they still made the killer axe completely broken.
Yeah, like Jade with a killer axe, Tamara with a killer lance, like those, like they just broke shit in half the entire game.
The easiest way to break this game in half is get a killer weapon on somebody and give them wrath from Ike. Bam.
Yes, easy.
I did that to Eddie. It took a while to get her to get wrath because I wasn't really like trying to get oh no, because it costs like 2000 SP to get. And I didn't know how to grind for it because I didn't want to look it up. But as soon as I put that on her, oh my god, 70% crit. Wait, no, even before that, she had like 60% crit because of how like the crit mechanic worked in this game. Because I gave I think was it Byleth's sigil. One of the sigils boosted crit up to like an insane number to the point where the killer axe had an innate 60% crit.
Damn. I remember like I did the same thing with Penette, and somebody pointed it out too. Like Penette with her personal skill plus Wrath plus a fully upgraded killer axe with Erica's emblem refine, like you could easily hit anywhere between 90 to 100 crit percent.
I mean, even with Wrath and a killer axe, you can hit 100% crit almost instantly. It's so dumb.
It is so dumb. It is so good, but so dumb.
Oh my god. One of the funniest moments I'd had was I think Eddie had 60% chance to hit and like 98% chance to crit, and she missed.
Jesus.
I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they calculate the crit chance first.
That happened to me a couple times with I think specifically Kagetsu, because I remember missing a lot of 99%.
This game brought back the old staple where the number you see on the screen is the number you get. Whereas in like Three Hopes and Three Houses and Fire Emblem 7 and 8, I think, there was like a curve where if it was a 70% chance to hit, it was technically like 80. If it was 85 to 90, that was basically a guaranteed hit.
Like at least the characters in this game in Engage were more serviceable than some of the Fates characters. Because
that's not saying it much at all.
I know, but I'm saying like I look at characters like Arthur and Nyx from Conquest, where neither of them, like Nyx damn near has a 0% speed growth, and Arthur has a damn near 0% skill growth.
I thought he had like a negative luck growth too.
Yeah, like Arthur gets no luck and no skill. Like you have to bank on potentially getting a critical on something, because otherwise you like if you try to use him, you will not hit anything.
And then there were characters like Effie who had a really good speed growth, but they were stuck in the night class, which had a low speed cap, so it was wasted.
Yeah, like there were a lot of fumbles with that game.
I do think the growth rates for everyone in Engage is pretty good, though. Didn't feel like anyone was really like. I say that, but then I look over at my Lapis, who just I wanted to invest in her, but she just underperformed the whole time. Even with Ike solving her strength issue, she just couldn't dish out the damage like everybody else.
Yeah, I dropped Lapis because she 100% underperformed.
Yeah. And that brings up a question. What character did you initially like but ended up sucking? And what character did you not like and ended up loving?
Oh, that's a really tough question. Like, what character did I love that ended up sucking? Like, all of the Firene people outside of Chloe. Granted, I managed to fix Alfred, but that took some work.
Alfred, I was like, you know what? I'll try to use him, but as soon as you get Diamant, he's just done for. Or no,
Yeah,
not
like
Diamant, Tamar. As soon as you get Tamar, he's like completely outclassed, even though he's on a horse.
yeah, like the way I fixed Alfred was
Benching him.
what?
Benching him.
Uh hmm. I will say no. How I fixed him was Brave Lance, like fully upgraded and given Ike's emblem engraving.
Oh yeah.
Because like he's never gonna double anything regardless. So you still get 2 attacks even when it shoots the weight of the lance up to like 25. But it also shoots the might of the lance way up.
Which is really good for that thing.
Okay, now what character did I love that ended up sucking? Oh shit. Uh
Lapis.
Citrine,
Citron, really?
really.
I never used her.
Like combination of Citrine and Clan, because Pandreo outperformed both of them in every single regard.
I think that's only because he came pre-promoted.
Like, and you would think that that would make him like worse.
But apparently not.
Yeah, like all of
Because
the like
Kagetsu's like the best character in the game.
yeah, Kagetsu has like the best bases out of everyone. Oh, another one. Who did I like that ended up sucking? Yunaka.
Yeah. Well, I didn't start liking her. I'm like, oh, thief class, cool. You always need a thief, but then it turns out, no, you don't.
Anyone can open chests, you can just break down doors, and thieves are terrible.
Thieves don't even promote to assassin, so it's like, why even use her? I mean, there's Haya Papaya, but it's like, I don't like the gimmick.
That just reminds me of like a shit post that I made to the shitpost emblem subreddit, where someone's like, I like Yunaka because she's got like good skills, like a good design, a decent like yada yada yada. And then it's just like Hawks from My Hero Academia interjecting with like, you like her because she's the first unit you get that has an actual personality.
To which I say incorrect, Eddie.
I don't know, man.
Eddie
Like
doesn't have much
I
of
remember one of the
personality.
I remember one of the
Wait, no, she
comments I
does.
got for that was like, "What, tea and murder isn't a personality?" And I'm like, depends on which character you're talking about, because
I mean,
that's like
Eddie is just a workout junkie that you see at the gym.
yeah, like
She's posting on her TikTok all the time about her gains.
yeah, and I mean like Alfred is pretty much exactly the same, and I almost want to
I think that's the issue, is that two of the characters have basically the same personality. Celine, was that her name? Celine?
Saline, yeah.
Saline. Yeah, her personality was I'm a princess, and then Boucheron is uh I'm a little timid buff man.
He's like,
I'm
I'm either lost or I'm sentimental. That was Boucheron's entire thing.
he's literally Escanor from Seven Deadly Sins.
He really
Except
is.
except he's got the body at the peak power, but he has the personality of the not peak power. It's like, why'd you do that?
Why indeed? I wonder.
But for me, the character that I liked that ended up doing bad was Lapis. I still used her. She just, you see, yeah, you expect the Swordmaster characters to be like the crit machines that dodge everything and can't die. Except for her, she didn't do that. Like, I was so disappointed because like, oh, I like this character. She wrestles bears, is a Swordmaster. Also, the Swordmaster outfit sucks in this game, and the hero outfit. Both of them
Yeah,
are awful. The
I
only
will
good
say
outfit is
too.
Warrior.
I think Lapis is better off as a hero than as like
Oh yeah, that's
anything
what I
else.
did. That's what I made her. But then the character that I didn't like but ended up loving was Ivy. Like
Hmm.
I hated her design because she had a waffle on her head and spikes sticking out everywhere. I'm like, that's what is this? What is this costume? And then when you first meet her, she's like, "I'm here to kill you" and all that shit. And you're just like, "Oh, she's one of those." But then once you recruit her and you do some of her supports, you realize, oh, she's just a dork.
Yeah.
She's a better Tharja.
100%.
Granted, I haven't played Awakening, so I don't remember any of Tharja's supports because I never used her.
Yeah, Tharja has problems.
Not even with like the whole Robin thing, because I mean Ivy does the same thing with Alir, but at least there's more like in-game justification because everyone is aware of who Alir is.
Granted, the only Tharja support that I remember, the only two were her support with Gregor and her support with Lanku.
I remember her support with Noir, where apparently she's an abusive mom,
Oh yeah.
which I think there's nuance to that where it's like it's not entirely accurate, but I can't say for certain.
Yeah. No,
But
her
Ivy's
support
so funny.
her support with Gregor is like Gregor reveals that like he had a brother that died, and so Tharja is able to channel his brother's spirit so that the two can talk with each other one last time. And the brother pretty much just spends the conversation like trying to absolve Gregor of all the guilt he feels.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. And then her support with Lanku helps him like delve into his like traumatic backstory and like help him like try to like get past it a little bit.
He touched a girl's hand at school, and she's like, "Ew, creep." Stuck with him forever.
No, that wasn't it. Granted, like Lanku's support with Shershay does that a lot better.
Oh, sure, Shay. What a funny character.
Yeah. But no, like Lanku's entire shtick was like he grew up an orphaned kid in the slums, like befriended a girl got murdered right in front of him, and he couldn't do anything about it. So he like ran away because he thought like, oh, her parents are gonna hate me. So he leaves, ends up in Ferox, trains, becomes like the right hand man to Basilio, and that's how that shit goes.
He's afraid of women because he saw a girl die.
Like he's afraid of women because like he saw his friend who was a girl got murdered right in front of him. He couldn't do anything about it. And he just like keeps his distance from women because he thinks the same thing is going to happen.
I guess the fan base hyperbolizes his whole fear of girls because it's not a fear of girls. It's an
It's a fear of
aversion.
losing a
No,
girl who becomes important to him.
it's not a fear. It's an aversion.
Yes.
That's a $5 word for the folks at home.
It really is.
Or you keeping
Granted,
score?
granted, it gets a little weird when like you do his support chain with Noe. And he's like, wait, usually I'm averse to women, but I don't feel that shit around you.
Probably because she looks like a child.
Yeah, and like everyone took it as like, oh, it's because she looks like a child despite being 1,000 years old. Which God, Vale does the same thing.
I
But
still like Vale. Granted, I'm one of those people that love that character design.
yeah, like Vale's character design is good.
I mean, like I love the small female child characters because the entire concept of it is stupid and hilarious.
It also helps too that like the English voice for Vale was Megan Taylor Harvey, who voices Toa in the Trail series.
Oh my god, that's right. Reen. I really wish he went up to Illyrian. He's like, Reen. And he's like, what? Like, oh, sorry. Forgot where I
Right,
was.
right. That would have been so funny.
I wish Vale was better. Uh,
As
the
a
last
unit,
character, yeah, the last character you gets two proof weapons, preferred weapon, whatever you want to call it, and she's got like really crappy. I mean, she is a good mage, good like tank killer. But I wanted her to be OP. She wasn't.
yeah, like this is like the first game we've ever gotten in the series that has like 6 lords. Like she's one of them.
Is she technically a lord?
Yeah, she is.
Huh.
Because like
She
she's
she should have been the main character.
yeah, like Alira is a
Or
lord,
not the
Alfred
main
is a
character,
lord.
but she should have been the one of the protagonists.
There, yeah. Diamant is literally a lord.
Yeah.
Uh Ivy's a lord, Tamara's a lord, and Vale is a lord. And also technically speaking, Saline, Alchrist, uh Hortensia, and Fogado are too, but we don't really talk about that.
Yeah. They're side. I mean, they're the second in line, but as long as the first in line's alive, who cares?
Yeah, granted, Fogado as a like they suck as lords, except for like one of them, two of them. Like Saline as a lord, you're better off just reclassing her into like mage and turning her into sage or mage knight. Fogado is best off as a warrior because his entire shtick, although like hold on, backtracking a bit, Saline in her promoted lord class at least gets Ignis. So that kind of works.
Isn't Ignis based off defense? Does she have defense?
Ignis is based off of like magic, I think.
Okay, so I guess I did change it up a little bit.
Fogado's entire thing is his like exclusive like lord class skill back at you is like, oh, if you get damaged, then you can return half the damage to whoever attacked you. The problem is Fogado dodges everything.
I mean, that was just vengeance from Awakening.
Yeah. Well,
Well, actually, no. Vengeance was whatever missing HP you had
yeah,
was
no.
added to your damage.
Like it's not vengeance, it's a different skill. I'm just struggling to remember what that was.
I don't remember either. It's been so
Yeah.
long.
Alchrist, if you elect to use him, he at least learns Luna at level 5, whereas Diamant learns Soul, which is infinitely more useful.
Well, they're both useful.
Yeah. And then Hortensia, who I never used, but I looked it up later, her level 5 skill has like a luck percent chance of not using any uses of stabs.
That's pretty good,
And she gets
considering she's
essence
supposed to be
stabs.
she's supposed to be a support because she
Yeah.
even gets like the bonus range on stabs. So if you give her Micaiah, she's pretty dang good.
Yeah, granted, she annoys the shit out of me, so I am not doing that. But if I play the game through again, I might try it.
I mean, she's got a really good support with Rosado, where she's just like staring off into space, like all stoically, like thinking about something, and Rosado's like, "That is the most beautiful picture I've ever seen." Then she's like, "No, it's not. I'm cute and all that," and he's like, "No." That picture is perfect.
I saw at least Hortensia's C support with Chloe, where she's just like, "Hey, I want to try being more like womanly or have a mature charm." And Chloe's like, "You're charming in your own way," and then walks away. Like, wait, what the fuck do you mean by that?
Like,
God, like I can just think of so many supports with like between any two characters where the banter is just so funny.
yeah, they got really good banter in this game.
Yeah, like another really good one was like Jade and Louis supports. Oh no, wait, not
Yeah,
Jade.
yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
wait, Jade and Bonet was better
I mean, Jade
because
and Lily was like, I like watching. He was like, stop doing that. Like, are you
yeah,
gonna write a book soon? She's like, probably. Like, cool.
yeah, like and Jade's entire support with Bonet is like she's trying to leave well enough alone, and Bonet is like, I'm trying to develop new flavor profiles. Can I lick your armor?
Oh, Bonet. Oh, Ian Sinclair.
Oh, Ian Sinclair is correct.
He's one of those voice actors where he doesn't need to put on like a different sort of tenor to his voice. Just his voice is perfect.
Exactly. It's so good.
Uh, put him in every single Fire Emblem game from now on.
Please. Oh my god, but yeah, like would you recommend playing like yeah, I fucked it up, sorry. Would you recommend that people play this game or would
Oh
you
yeah, one hundred
recommend people
percent.
100%? Yeah, okay. Yeah, me too.
I'd recommend it over Fire Emblem Three Houses.
That is not a statement I thought I'd hear you say.
Like gameplay is so much more cohesive and like, well, it's more challenging. Whereas Three Houses, it's like it's more of like a sim with Fire Emblem mechanics that are there. I think
Yeah,
that's also what made the characters more long lasting than the Engage characters, was because you did like all with them.
you did what? Sorry, you kind of cut off there.
Did I? Uh, like in Three Houses, like you do all the school stuff with the characters, so you like can talk with them, so it feels like you're actually like living with them, and like you get closer to them. Whereas Three Houses, it's like these are characters in your roster. You can talk to them for bonus points.
True, yeah. But I will say the gameplay does lend itself a little better to engage in Three Houses. Gameplay lends itself to Three Houses
I mean,
100%.
Engage's map design is infinitely better than Three Houses because Three Houses did not have map design.
God, you are
Level design
correct.
was awful.
Like
If Three Houses had Engage's map design, Three Houses would be probably the best Fire Emblem game.
yeah, the fact that there's only like 20 total maps across all of Three Houses, like Jesus Christ.
20. I thought it was like 10.
Nah, there's 20, you just don't see like half of them because a lot of them are like locked to certain routes.
Yeesh. Yeah, definitely give Engage a play it sooner than later out of 10.
Play this over Three Houses out of 10.
No, play this one sooner than later. Play both.
Play both, but play Engage first. That would be my verdict.
Actually, no, play the entire franchise first, then play Engage.
Maybe.
Well, that way, so you can get connected to all the emblems.
The question is, how are we going to be able to play half of this shit now?
I mean, Fire Emblem 7 is on Wii U Virtual Console, so just go get a Wii U.
True, yeah. So is Sacred Stones.
Ambassador title for the 3DS. Yeah, so go play the Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn are eventually going to get ported to the Switch.
You think?
Oh yeah, eventually. I mean, they're gonna if the leak for Engage was correct. There's going to be a remake for Genealogy in the coming years.
He could be genealogy, could be Binding Blade, could be genealogy and Thracia 776. Like, we never know.
It's going to be a remake, though.
Do you
I
think
don't
it'll
think they're
follow
going to do a
the
main. They're not going to do a main.
sorry. Do you think it's going to follow the same like title structure as like Fire Emblem Echo Shadows of Valentia?
I mean, if they kept it with the Echoes moniker, just to get some consistency, but it's Nintendo. They're not really consistent.
That is true.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to it. But I'm more looking forward to an HD remaster port of Fates or Awakening.
Oh, that would be fun. And having like all of the DLC embedded into it.
Oh my god, that'd be so much.
That would be so good.
I mean, I just want to play Fates again, but not on a really small screen.
Like if they ported all of those games over and we had to buy all of the DLC all over again, I'm going to be mad.
They probably won't even port half the DLC.
What do you think they'd leave out?
Most of it. I don't remember most of it.
I mean, for Awakening specifically, I could see them leaving out the bonus maps that got you like the DLC version of all the other Lord characters.
Yeah, I mean they might do like amiibo support for something like that.
But like I couldn't see them taking out like the grinding maps, which were serviceable and definitely helped you out in a lot of places. The like the hard mode DLCs, maybe, because that did give you like the DLC versions of Palacatria, Est, and Katarina. Although Apotheosis would like you'd be foolish not like bleh, you'd be foolish not to keep that. But like the stuff, the shit that needs to come in definitely is the future past campaigns.
Yeah.
Easily.
Or just like add that to the main campaign.
Oh, that would work too.
Like now that the whole reveal that like they're kids, just toss them all. Just get like a couple maps where you get to play as them all. Introduce them as their characters, and then reveal through that like those chapters who their parents are. Which I mean, it's obvious for some, but not as obvious for others. So then, like when you go back, actually, that's what they should do. They should start with the future stuff, and then you play as Kron.
Oh, that would be an interesting way to do it. Granted, they'd have to like fully remake or like do an enhanced port. And by enhanced port, I mean like whatever they did for the port of Super Mario 3D World that added the entire Bowser's Fury campaign.
Yeah, they could. Final battle for Lucy.
You were like very badly cutting out.
And that's
Chris, hello?
What? Am I cutting out?
Yeah, you were for like a little bit.
Oh. I was saying like just have Lucina's the tutorial chapter.
That could work.
And like you introduce like, oh, okay. An interlude chapter. Like how Fates did it with you go to both sides so you get to see which path you want to choose. Just go with a couple things for Chrom, and then it cuts over to Lucina's story or something like that.
That would be an interesting way of doing it if they did decide to remake it that way.
Dang it, now I want to play. Dang it. I want to play Awakening now.
Yeah. But yeah, that's going to be all the time we have. Before we go, do you have anything that you want to shout out or plug before we finish up?
Edelgard did nothing wrong.
Okay, but for real though.
I do not.
All right. Well, then in that case, that's our show. Thank you everyone so much for listening, and please stay tuned for the next episode. Have a great rest of your day and have a good one. Take care.